Fitch Ratings report stated that Nigeria's rising inflation is dampening the country's economic growth and eroding consumer purchasing power. According to the ratings agency, persistently high inflation remains a key macroeconomic weakness, contributing to Nigeria's relatively modest growth rates and weighing on external liquidity. Joining us to discuss further, Arise business analyst Chika Mboni. Chika, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming.
Morning today. Thank God it's Friday.
Indeed. Would you like to? I mean, you've talked about inflation so many times. But
let me start with the DMO.
The DMO, yes, Patience Oniha.
Yeah,
yes.
Let's congratulations to her.
Yes.
And she's gotten another, tenor.
Yes.
Given it to her to continue. So some successes. She's able to raise Sukuk bonds, diaspora bonds.
Yep.
So that department is debt management office,
correct.
Not debt raising office. So
okay.
So the work also will include in managing debt.
That is correct, sir.
And if you talk about debt in our country, the fear of everybody is the management of the debt,
right?
Not the raising of the debt. Of course. It's important that you reassure those who give you money that you can pay back the money.
Yes.
So commend our country for being able to, pay back the diaspora bonds.
Yes.
As a mature, even the matured, I think some of the Euro bonds were matured in the past.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I think it was $500 million.
500 million.
Yeah.
This one was $300 million, and
yeah.
it was paid off. So we'll commend all those. But the issue, the fear, the worry about this office and the debt in Nigeria is not just the raising of the debt, but the issue is the management of the debt. What the debt is used for, and not, we have 4 trillion on subsidies. We're not funding it through our revenues.
Right.
We're borrowing to consume. That's the problem.
Right.
We're borrowing to consume. If we're borrowing to build great wealth that will be recycled and turned back to pay back those debts, we're okay. But if you're borrowing to accumulate debt for our unborn generation, that's the problem. If the ratios we hear are 80% of our revenues or 90% of our revenues, as the case may be, is going to debt servicing, you hear the Accountant General of the Federation say that we're borrowing to pay salaries.
Right.
You hear the Minister of Finance always crying about the issue, that bigger problem. So congratulations to her about the debt management. The actual management part of it is our problem.
Main issue.
Main issue, not just raising it. Inflation.
Yeah, inflation. Yeah.
Okay. Inflation. Inflation. Is a worldwide issue now. Every country in the world is facing inflation.
Yep.
The U.S. is facing the highest inflation, in the 50 years plus. The UK, the same thing. Now in Africa, the same thing also. So inflation is a major issue now, and you look at the world was trying to survive COVID.
Yep.
The production during COVID was scaled down. Now doors were opened, so the mouths to feed and activities picked up, but production didn't catch up. So immediately you have issues of inflation.
Yep.
Now, as the world was trying to get out of that, what happened? Russia, Ukraine came in.
Yep.
And unfortunately for the world also, that belt, is almost like the food belt of the world. And a lot of critical raw materials required by the world come from that side. And it has affected everything, including the petrol, the PMS that we use, the diesel that we use, aviation fuel that we use. So every part of the world is feeling that. Oh, happily. I think we read yesterday that the Russian army has graciously allowed some grain shipments to come out from that. So that will also help. But inflation is a major issue in the world. And the world is becoming insular. And basically what it's saying is that you try to produce what you eat,
right,
and eat what you produce.
Yep.
And that's why also that it's important that those kind of policies in our country are continued and implemented to make sure that the things that we produce, that we can produce, let's continue to produce them.
Yeah.
Not the toothpicks, not some supermarkets I went to, I saw Gary, I saw a goosey soup being imported and packaged, and that. So every country, if you look at the top 10 African countries in the world with the highest inflation,
yeah,
you look, the major symptomatic of them is the fact that most of them are all import dependent. Nigeria, every time we find ourselves, in the very wrong list.
Yes.
When the list of the worst cities in the world kept, like Lagos, which is our principal city, Lagos became the second worst city to live in the world. Now, can you believe that it is Damascus, capital of Syria, where there's war, the worst one, followed by Lagos, and then followed by Libya, again, where there's war. We always find ourselves in the wrong ends of the ratios. Poverty capital of the world, we are there. Everywhere, so there are fundamental issues in our country which superior political governance can address.
Right.
Conscientious leadership, proper execution in the policies will also help us, and that's why 2023 is very critical for our country. Yeah, so Fish has come out with the report. It's not strange to us. These figures, if you throw them around, if you go to the market woman now, everybody knows about inflation. So these figures are there, but the issue is what? Are there fundamental things we need to do to help ourselves to become a better country?
Right.
And there's so many of them. Some of them are thrust on us by ourselves.
Right.
And just a measure of strong leadership could have resolved some of these issues. And as we gravitate towards that 2023, let these issues be on the back burner and we'll make sure that we address them as the years come by.
Indeed. A minute ago, the central bank, the loans to the agricultural sector.
Well, I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not a fan of central bank. The issue has always been that these policies, you still hear people complain that they hear trillions, billions coming from CBN, but a lot of key segments of the society have not been. The farmers have not gotten them. Right. And for me, that's where the central bank needs to look at. How is it that this money is not reaching to every segment of the farmer groups, and make sure that, and then the impact of the money, the input. If you input 1 billion naira, are we getting multiples of that? Right. There have been reports that are out there. I mean, I sure know that things would have been more difficult for us without a lot of these CBN intervention policies. Gotcha. I know that already. We're not gotten there yet, but a lot of them. Especially for rice, for example, things would have happened. And during the lockdown period, when things were not coming to Nigeria, we were eating rice.
Yes, we were.
And I looked at analysis of rice, importation of rice from Thailand. Right. Even if you aggregate rice coming from Cameroon and the Benin Republic, it just means that we still had a deficit of about 2 trillion of rice. All those came from local production. Right. But there's still a lot to be done. And CBN can still think about a lot of these policies to make them more proficient. For me, that's what it is. And there's a lot to be done.
A lot of work to be done. Arise business analyst Chika Mbono. Chika, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, Chika.
You too.
You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise News.